Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJAY Jones, and this is the State of the Saints podcast halftime report. The New Orleans Saints are up by one over the New York Football Giants by a score of 7-6. And the first half, you have to be impressed with the Saints defense. I mean, they played extremely well. They played like a championship defense. I mean, they've been flying around the field. They've been making plays. They've been getting pressure on Tommy DeVito. I want to say they have what 4 sacks in the first half. That's pretty doggone impressive when you think about it, especially from a team that the sacks are few and far in between when it comes to them. But the New Orleans Saints offensively, I mean, they done some things well. You know, you got to give credit to Derek Carr on the second offensive drive. He went 7-8 on that drive. He made some really good throws, and also credit to some of these young receivers getting the opportunity to play because of the injuries to both Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. Lynn Bolton made like an athletic catch. Juwan Johnson made a catch on that drive, and you also had Keith Kirkwood getting the Saints on the board 6-0 before Blake Groupie kicked the field goal. Look, the Saints are who they are at this point. It's not even worth getting upset and getting frustrated over this offense and where they are. I mean, they are who they are. I don't see anything changing from this team. And we know more than likely if the Saints are going to stay in games, if they're going to be competitive, it's probably going to be because the defense doesn't let them down. And you got to take advantage of the opportunities. It's hard to say that the Saints aren't doing the right things offensively. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the fact of, maybe the plays down the field aren't, big time plays as much, or just the fact that maybe, nobody's open. I don't know. I mean, maybe the all 22 watchers out there can maybe see something. But I will say this. I mean, the offensive line, you got to play better, man. I mean, I know we criticized Derek Carr quite a bit, but the last couple of times he got sacked, I mean, that's not a real good look on the offensive line. I mean, that time we can clearly hear Derek Carr calling out the blitz, and it still couldn't pick it up. I mean, it still was a sack, and that's embarrassing, man, for guys that's been on the offensive line as long as those guys have. Um, I think the game plan offensively is good. I really don't have an issue with it. I think the Saints have a good balanced attack. You got Alvin Kamara with 6 carries for 26 yards, a 4.3 average. Jamal Williams with 3 carries for 10 yards. Sprinkle a little Taysom Hill in there. And you also got some young guys stepping up, making some plays. So I don't know. I just don't understand it. But this offense is what it is at this point. I guess there's no need to even get upset at this point. Looking at this team, I mean, if you think that all of a sudden, like the Saints are just gonna, the light just gonna come on, and then all of a sudden they just gonna look like the 2007 New England Patriots offense, or some of those offenses back in 2011, 2012 for the Saints, I think you're sadly mistaken, man. It's too late in the season, and right now you just got to find ways to win. The Saints have neutralized Tommy DeVito. He had a few runs. I expect for him to be back in the second half. But there was a drive, in my opinion, this last drive that set up the field goal by the punter, Gillikin, or whatever his name is, for the New York Giants. That was an absolute disgrace by the referees. That was clearly not targeting by Alante Taylor. That was just a good hit. They were almost trying to call a personal foul penalty on Isaac Yedem, but clearly they couldn't, change. I mean, they had to change that. It was pretty obvious he didn't touch him in the head or the neck area. So you can really blame the referees on that. And that's why, fans sometimes they think about corruption when it comes to the NFL. And maybe the referees are deciding the point spread. When you have egregious calls like that, that's just absolutely ridiculous. And that kept the drive alive. Like, who knows? The Saints get the ball back, maybe, drive, and maybe Blake Gillikin is kicking a field goal for the Saints to go up 10-3. So that's the momentum shift, in my opinion, on when you try to get a team off the field and referees are helping the team extend drives. And, that's the kind of stuff right there is extremely frustrating as a fan base. And I know it's extremely frustrating as a coach. Look, I can understand Dennis Allen being upset with that because that was clearly not targeting, and they still called it, and that extended the drive for the New York Giants. And also, I gotta say this too. On 4th and 2, I mean, Saquon Barkley fighting for the extra yards. So I mean, look, this is what it's all about, the second half. Okay, the Saints in the first half, they did some really good things in the first half. They got pressure on Tommy DeVito. They were able to neutralize the wide receivers. Nobody really made any noise. I don't even think a wide receiver at this point, I got to check for the Giants. I don't even know if a wide receiver actually has a catch here. It's been pretty bad. I mean, you got Darren Waller. Okay, Darian Slayton got one, and so does Wendell Robinson. But I mean, it would Wendell Robinson has 2 catches for 4 yards. Darius Slayton 1 catch for 5. Jalen Hyatt doesn't have a catch. So right now you have Darren Waller and Daniel Bellinger with the 2 tight ends. They're the ones that are kind of leading the charge for receivers. So the Saints defense in the secondary are holding these wide receivers down. But the second half is where you want to see some adjustments. So we expect for Brian Daboll to make some adjustments in the second half about how the Saints defense is approaching them. The question is, are the Saints going to be able to respond, to be able to build on this momentum? And we'll see. You got to be able to make these second half adjustments in order for you to stay competitive in the game. Derek says the offense is trash. Look, man, it is what it is at this point. I'm not even upset. Honestly, I'm not even upset. And I keep on saying at this point, but it's this is the only thing I can say at this point. Why are we getting upset about something that's just so painstakingly obvious? It's not going to change, and it's definitely not going to change if you missing 2 of the most important players offensively in Michael Thomas and Chris Olave. It's not going to change. So it was already bad with those guys in the lineup, so it's going to look even worse. Let's see. I'm just ready for this season to be over with at this point. Unnecessary roughness on a clean tackle. Yeah, that was terrible. Defense looked very good for the most of the first half. Yeah, Demario Davis been playing inspired. I don't know. I heard them say something about Dennis Allen put gas tanks inside people, veterans' lockers. I'm like, if that's the case, then man, they need to do that every week because Demario Davis is flying all over the field. Right now, he has 7 tackles, 5 solo, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. I mean, he's all over the field. And I think one play he had back-to-back tackles for loss on it. I'm like, man, this like Demario Davis is playing inspired. Now I know earlier in the season he was dealing with some knee injuries, and it was affecting his play. But it seems like he's starting to heal up a little bit and getting a little bit better. So, shouts out to Demario Davis. At least somebody came to play. Him and the defensive line. I mean, you got Tano Passanio with a sack, Carl Granderson with a sack, Brian Brzee with a sack, and once again, Demario Davis has one. So they stepping up, man. They stepping up. Jared says it should be up 14-3 right now. Yeah, I mean, I seen a couple plays that was some misses, man. That play for Taysom Hill to Lynn Bowden. I think that if Taysom tried to lead the ball in front of him so he can run, but I think Taysom made that catch much harder than what it had to be. If he would have just put that ball on Lynn Bowden, and Lynn Bowden probably would have got about 15, 20 yards on that play. I mean, he definitely would have got the first down. There was nobody in the entire area. And, there was a couple plays, but all in all, I mean, the offense is what it is. I'm not even upset anymore. The offense, man, shaking my head, defense doing their job. Hope it keeps up. Well, the name of the game, you got to score. Your defense can only do so much. I mean, your defense can make these stops. They can do all these things. They can get the sack on a quarterback, but the offense has got to be able to generate some plays. And we'll see in the second half. When you look at the first half, the game plan was pretty good. But we know that teams make adjustments, and look, this game might as well just be 0-0 going into the half. I mean, the Giants are only down by 1 point. The Saints got a 1-point lead, so they got to figure it out. I expect for Tommy DeVito to come back into this game. It was more like a flop when I looked at it. It was more like a flop like when Isaac Yadam hit him. It's like he was trying to just draw a flag. So I expect to see him back. And honestly, I think it would benefit the New Orleans Saints if he does come back. If he doesn't, then I would be a little bit more concerned about the Saints, to be honest with you, because I look at Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is a seasoned veteran. He can make plays with his arm. He can make plays with his legs. And he's not the best quarterback in the world, but I think he can give you a little bit something, different. And honestly, looking at this Saints coaching staff, I can really honestly believe that they probably wouldn't prepare it at all if Tyrod Taylor was to play in the second half. So hopefully Tommy DeVito comes back out here and, and they can be able to he can continue to finish the game, because I feel like he kind of fits what the defense is doing and what they're doing well. But we're about to start the second half. The kickoff is underway. I'll be back for the post game show. Once again, for those that don't know, I apologize for not being on camera today. There's a real bad thunderstorm, power outages in the area, and it's affecting the stream. So when I use the camera, it's affecting it. So I do apologize for that. Shouts out to everybody here. Shouts out to you, Jerry. And see you guys in the second half. I mean, at the end of the game for the post game show. Till next time, all I got to say is